This video is about generational trauma, limiting beliefs that parents place on the next generations, and also about some parents who try to keep their children in a bubble and stop them from ever getting hurt out of their love for the child, but how that actually hurts the child in the long run. Quick story about what sparked this video. So we were in Italy, we were walking on these hills and stuff, and it was really high up, and there was this rock over this ledge. Now, I'm really scared of heights, okay? And it was really high up and it was really beautiful. Now, my grandfather and his cousin, who were both in their 70s, stood on the rock. And like, it was really beautiful. And then after they got down, I went and stood on the rock. Now, as I was going to stand on the rock, my grandfather shouts out, no, 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 don't, not you, don't. Two 70-year-olds just stood on this rock. Why can't I? I'm 22. Why can't I? Why would he say that? Now, what I believe is, I should say, this is a pattern that I've noticed with him. For example, I asked where, because when we were in Italy again, I was trying to turn on the stove. It was a really old stove. And I just asked where the gas little thing for the gas is. And he goes, oh, no, don't do it. I'll get someone to help. Don't do it. Don't do it yourself. You don't know. He's like that. And I'm like, I can do it. Let me do the thing. I'm like, let me do the thing. Because even if it sounds childish or like silly, like I need to do things to prove to my subconscious that I'm capable of doing things. If someone's always doing stuff for me, then that's bad for my own self-development. Now, the reason why this becomes a bit more serious is because it's a pattern, and the reason why he does it, I think, is one of two things. Either it's him coddling me and trying to protect me from the world and just out of love give me everything that he can possibly do and never need me to do much for myself, and thinking that that's the right thing to do because it's doing more stuff even though it's not doing the right stuff. Or what I think it really is him limiting my development because of his own generational trauma, which is where it gets a bit more twisted and yeah, it's a shame, like, so he never had a dad, and he had a very rough upbringing in southern Italy in a really poor town where no one had anything, there was no work, and he was, because he also didn't have a dad, he was like one of the poorest little families there in the town. And like he had to go to an orphanage a lot and stuff like that. Now, I believe he passed on a lot of that generational trauma to my dad, who's his oldest son. Now, my dad does this stuff to me a little bit, but I think he mainly takes it out on the women that he dates rather than me. Now, I should say they didn't have the internet and modern times and modern education to so that they could understand these things about themselves. So it's not fully their fault. And saying that, it also is an active decision on my behalf that I should be proud of, to educate myself on these things so that way I develop more as a person. I don't let them stop me from becoming who I want to become. Now, it's a difficult pill to swallow that even people that love me and want the best for me in life will also at the same time detriment me or try to limit me, whether subconsciously or consciously. Like it's hard to take, right? Because they do that really out of their own lack of understanding of their own emotions and their own experiences. So then they're just projecting it onto me without even realizing what they're doing. But even though they're not consciously doing that and they do love me, it's still hurt, it's still frustrating, it's still difficult. Like, that's all true and I can be aware of it, but it still sucks. And the thing is, I have to actively fight against these things with my reaction to whatever they say. So different examples of like trying to limit someone is like if a family member or someone makes a joke or says something about you that puts you in a certain frame. And it happens to me, and sometimes that frame isn't true. For example, my dad said, My dad made a joke that I always lose stuff, that I always lose expensive things, like that I'm careless and lose expensive things. I did when I was 16. I lost phones all the time. Like every 6 months, I'd get a new phone because I would always lose my phone. But now I don't. I'm different to how I was then because I was 16. Now I'm 22, right? People grow and develop and change. And he was making a joke that I'm not like that. Even though it's a joke and people can pretend to play it off like it's nothing, in reality, me accepting that joke or laughing at that joke would communicate to everyone around and to my own subconscious, more importantly, that the joke is true, or that that frame is true, which it's not. And that's why it's important that I have to every time actively fight against the suggestion that he's making. Now, ever since I got onto self-improvement, I noticed these things. I didn't notice them before. Only once I started actually improving as a person and changing from what people perceive or expect me or want me to become to what I want to become, I started to notice these things. I also became more aware of people's intentions behind the words that they were saying because I was more present, because I was meditating and stuff like that. Now, to try to iterate how important this is a little, I almost fucked it up. This is a sort of a diagram. Now, this is your subconscious, okay? We don't directly control our subconscious. And this subconscious is connected to our conscious mind, which we do control. So the decisions that we make actively by thinking and processing them and thinking them through are done here. But those decisions sub-communicate things to our subconscious. Our subconscious learns from what our conscious does. So, for example, if someone makes a joke about me, I'm going to say with the same example. If my dad makes a joke about me saying that I always lose stuff and I'm very careless, even though my track record of 6 years or whatever shows that that isn't true, if I just play it off and laugh at it, what I'm doing is, what's going to happen is my conscious is going to spit out to my subconscious and say, we lose expensive stuff a lot. And that's now going to float around in the deep, dark sea of my subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has all these beliefs about ourselves, whether we are aware of those beliefs or not. And once it's in there, like I said, it's a deep, dark sea. It's very hard to find it and pull it out and get rid of it. It takes a lot of work to do that last thing. Now, so because of that, what I have to do is he makes the joke about the thing, and then I have to actively be like, no, that's not true. Like I have to actively fight against the joke. Otherwise, I'm communicating to my own subconscious and everyone around me that the joke is true, because all jokes are half true, right? There are many other examples you could use of even things that aren't jokes. But I hope that made it a bit more clear as to why this is so important. Now, I got this concept from a book called Think and Grow Rich, which is a decent book. It's pretty weird and full on. And I don't know if it's helped me that much actually to grow rich, but it did open my eyes to a lot of these concepts. So it probably is worth the read. Now, in that book, Napoleon Hill who's the author, compared placing limiting beliefs on a child to child abuse. Because you placing those limiting beliefs on your child is going to determine the future of that child. Unless they sort of do what I've been doing, which is like work actively to step back and remove it all and then start again, which is a whole process, right? So, for example, if you have a child and you could do this or that, you could give them the belief that anything that you want, any skill that you want to develop or master, you can master. If you do and practice the thing many times and be very bad at it and make mistakes, and you will guaranteed become good at the thing if you repetitively practice at it. Or you could give them the belief that the things that you're kind of good at, you're naturally kind of good at, and the things that you're bad at, you're naturally bad at, and you shouldn't even try to improve those things. You can give your child these two beliefs and they will have a huge impact on their entire life. So it is child abuse. It is hugely detrimenting the success and the future of your own child, which is fucked up. If you start to realize what's happening, it's fucked up. The last thing I want to mention is I noticed some parents try to keep their child in a bubble. They try to, out of their own love for the child, stop the child from ever experiencing pain, even as they get older. And so then that parent's entire life is now devoted to just stopping their child from experiencing pain. When that parent knows that life is harsh and isn't preparing that child for life. So when that child does have to face real life, they will be weaker and therefore suffer more. So you are now making your child suffer more out of your own love. Don't you want the best for your child? Now, I don't have a kid, so these feelings, because from what I've discussed with parents, like it's like a feeling that you just don't want anything bad to ever happen to them. It's like a precious little thing, even when they're older, like that you still think of the child, or even when they're an adult, like, as a precious little thing. You don't want anything bad to ever happen to them. I don't know how great or how big that feeling is, but I know that you must fight against it. Otherwise, it will 100% guaranteed be to the detriment of your own child. You have to let your child try things and fail and suffer and experience pain. For example, quick little example. My little sister, she's 7, and I was with my mom today and she wanted to jump. We were out and she wanted to jump off the stairs, right? And she's scared of heights, just like I am. And she was on like 4th or 5th step and she wanted to jump, and I was like, yeah, jump, try. It was far. I was like, yeah, do it. And my mom was like, no, don't do it. Now she did it and she landed, and it was great. It was a good moment, and she was like proud of herself, and like that communicates to her that, you know, she can do the things she wants to do in life even when she's scared. Now, my mom was saying no, and I'm like, why are you saying no? Like, what's she gonna achieve from saying no? If she does it, she either lands or she falls. If she falls, probably just a graze and she cries a little bit and then she's okay, right? And but you learn from those little scratches and stuff. Like, that's how you learn about life. It's very important. Like, these things seem trivial, but they're very, very important. It's about what it communicates to your subconscious mind. The last thing is I've been really, really trying to face those sort of fears and lean into my fear. Like what they say in The Way of a Superior Man is like, lean into your fear each day. So then when I was on holiday, the fear that I leaned into a lot was my fear of heights. And that's why I was doing those things, right? I'm extremely scared of heights. Like, even just standing where it's high, I get really freaked out. Like, I was that kid who would go halfway up the ride at the theme park or at the water park, and then I'd walk all the way down the stairs with the fucking floaty, with me, and like just the walk of shame walking down. Like, so I always, even when I was older, like when I was like 19, I had a girlfriend, and we were at a water park, and like we were carrying the floaty together, and then we got halfway up, and I was like, I can't do it. Like, I was freaking out, I couldn't do it. So like I made her come down with me, right? Like, that's how scared I am of heights. So even though I am really, really scared of heights, I'm making myself do the thing. Which I read in a couple books, and I really recommend doing. It's really good. Whether it's fear of social interactions, whether it's fear of heights, fear of whatever, like leaning into it, not going too far, because if you go too far, you actually you overestimate yourself and you fail. But just leaning into it, just enough that it's very uncomfortable. Try and doing that like each day or so. It's like, I found is really, really helpful. That's all. I hope that this helped you, or you found value in it in some way. I hope that maybe if you were able to listen to what I've learned about myself and my family and my own experiences, and hopefully if you've been able to relate that to yourself, and maybe if you've noticed a limiting belief that you've been given that you don't want to have and that you want to fight against, then if that's the case, and I hope it is, then my job here is done. Thanks, bro, and have a good week.